No videos, nothing, no signals at all. It's not showing anything. What to do? I don't know how to start with something has come. Okay, good morning, everybody. Namaskar. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India. On this day, February 11, 2022, फ्राइडे, मैं सूरज सिंह सिविल इंजीनियर भारत इंडिया से बोल रहा हूँ। आज दिनांक फरवरी 11, 2022, शुक्रवार का दिन, सुबह के 3:55, अर्ली मॉर्निंग 3:55 AM. Back to you about continuation of quality talk, safety talk, coordination talk. Title being Quality Works. Projects, coordination, communication, concrete, civil field engineering, reliable engineers for contracts, work safety, engineering designs, construction methods, work claims, organization. So some changes every day I make in this. And this is certain certification you can see. And of course you can see all these documents which are involved in talk currently. Coordination, engineering, and you can say quality and coordination, and for sure these certificates, membership certificate, and this is chartered engineer certificate, and this is INTP international professional engineer certificate, and again this is my address, particularly for email ID. You can see that suraj_engineer@yahoo.co.uk, suraj_engineer@yahoo.co.uk. I hope you read this, and if you have certain questions, some clarification regarding this talk on civil engineering construction designs, you are welcome to write to me. On Facebook itself you can write on comments, or you can write to me using your email ID, and to this email ID I hope you get it. And therefore this certification which I showed to you is for purpose of confirmation that certifications are issued in this country also. Chartered engineer certificate, which means statutory member of Institution of Engineers India, a royal chartered body, and this is based on qualification, professional training, and corporate membership. That civil engineering or electrical engineer, whosoever is there, is given chartered engineer title, and it says it's in civil engineering division, and this is I belong to civil engineering division or whatever else. And also this is competency based certificate, which is based on examination. Post qualification examination means a theoretical examination based on practical experience, as well as interview. After qualifying both, one can be granted ESP certificate, and it's not given to new engineers, it's given to those who have at least 7 years experience, including 2 years in responsible position, and validity of this certificate is only for 5 years, and after that every 5 years it is renewed based on further learning or further attainment. And that's the beauty of this certificate. It applies to many countries. It means there's an international agreement based on which this certificate is issued, and our country, Bharat India, is represented by International Professional Engineers Agreement. On that, Institution of Engineers, and that is this body, you can say, Institution of Engineers India, whose head office is located at 8 Gokhale Road, Kolkata. 8 Gokhale Road, Kolkata. That's for information. And here same thing is membership certificate. I close it for your time being so that you shouldn't unnecessarily burden me. And here is C certificate also I close and keep these only, and we talk of now quality and coordination, which is an important point here for which are sitting here. This is I have put titles as quality works. I'm talking about quality works. I'm not talking only quality, because I understand works are ultimate successful works. We have that goal. We cannot simply say quality in delusion. We want to claim quality, but if we don't have quality, it's only delusion, we can say. And we don't want to remain in delusion. We want to be realistic. We want to lead realistic, work realistic, and particularly in engineering world, reality is a must. We cannot simply say by declaration it is done. Engineering says it should be proven. In engineering, everything is approved by testing or by observation or by supervision. And you see, when testing is involved, when direct supervision is involved, or when certain technical scrutiny is involved, it's called quality controls. And quality controls means everywhere in system, quality control must be conducted. And that's the reason I'm giving quality works. Whatever works we do should be based on quality, in compliance to quality requirements or works requirements or specification requirements, or whatever design has been proposed or approved on whatever projects. It's very important part of life, that quality, though people say quality, but and actually how many people do understand meaning of quality, that's point of consideration, points of, you can say, concern, not interest alone. Because we work, we produce work, and in engineering work world, when we produce means it is done. Engineering world means physical world, not just science but application of science. We have to understand that point. Engineering world is application of science. It's evidently, you can say, it's evidently way that science is proved into engineering. And in fact, engineering is also called applied science. Whatever sciences are agreed, those principles must be applied into, whether it's manufacturing or it is industry process, or it is, you can say, construction or whatever else. It may be a part of maintenance or servicing. Therefore, projects, when we call, it is something which is additional to development. Every project adds to development. We have to understand that difference of project, and I'm inclined towards project. And how shall project perform? It depends on its design stage, it depends on its construction stage or manufacturing stage. Every manufacturing item is a product of project. Same way, every small house is a part of project. Means project was done. Though at that time, at time of use, it can't be called project, because it is in use or it is in operation. That time we cannot call it project. Project means a gap, and gap, if we join that gap, at one end there is date of start and at other end there is date of completion. So project means something temporary for long duration or for short duration. Once a project is completed, it cannot be called a project, it's called, you can say, asset of that nation. Asset, you try to understand, asset means part of. Asset means development result. Every country has many assets, and those assets means value of that country, property, ownership of that country. This means we are talking of something very important. When we say economy, economy is not generation of money, but evolution and development of process of progress based on available natural resources, and which natural resources we too are. Every human being is a natural resource, and every natural agency is a natural resource, and we can say every material hidden in earth is natural resource. So we do nothing but we use natural resource, and therefore it is our duty to respect nature in every way. We should be pro nature, means pro environment. We should respect wealth given to us by our nature or by God, whosoever. And projects means that is use of that or whatever materials we can. And for that purpose, because it is not one item, there may be many materials, many processes, many technologies, and many resources that are involved in projects of whatever nature, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, or combination of all engineering. Projects means we have to create them for a duration, expected duration. This means a kind of long life, not short life. When long life is involved, it becomes more important to take care about quality issue. Quality which doesn't stay in its spelling but its implication. And it's not only quality but complete quality, which I call, we say total quality, and total quality means total quality of all works involved in that. It's not just system. We should change mindset. System means system of every item, system of every group of works, system of total discipline, and system of entire disciplines. You can see, if you analyze what does system mean, which has not been analyzed, but it's complete world where we do whatever we do. So when we say system, means it is totality of all activities that are required to be done, and each activity must be processed well, must be done well, conducted well, carried out well. In a way, quality works, and that's point we must be very importantly understand, and we should understand that. I'm just inclined to talk of civil field engineering, but it doesn't mean I'm sorry. It doesn't mean it is only civil field engineering. When I say civil has got two meanings. One is professional civil engineering, which means civil engineering branch, and another is civil means public. Though it's not written like that, but fact remains that civil engineer is a public engineer. Because civil engineer, whether it works for private project, it works for corporate project, it works for government project or state project or international project, everywhere public is involved. Public means public projects. Even if you construct a building for a private person, indirectly it relates to public, because if there's something happens, public is impacted upon. So what I'm saying, civil field engineering is something related to common view, common public, common country, common everything. Means even I use private walkway, but public can also use that. Or you may say even animals can use that. What I mean to say is, civil doesn't mean formal civil, but informal civil, or we can say public at large, and public at not only at large, also in jails also they use civil construction. Same way in defense forces, on railway lines, there is no place where civil engineer does not work. Even in agricultural field, civil work is done. You can say irrigation system, or you can say whatever else. You may say small houses in fields or villages. Civil engineer comes into role, and engineering itself is in its role. It's design engineering, or it is construction or process engineering. Whatever it is, engineering is directly involved in development, and without engineering, development is impossible. And for all that, what we think, or we must have some source, some very important source, and that source is head. When we say we have body, or we have a source means it should have complete body, and body must have all parts. Say top part is head, then you can say middle part is chest and stomach, and then legs. So where you say we are involved, first of all, engineers are involved, who had this source, this body. So engineers comes at number one, means they are heads in that system of resource or source, and they have to think, they have to use mind. Not no emotions can work in engineering, only mind. And mind is power of engineering. You have to accept this fact. Means mind is unlimited, and it has massive vistas, or you can say sky level vistas. And there are, then we can say, if engineer has to work, if mind has to work, it has to use another resource, and that is what way work has to be done, what way, whether it is design stage, or it is development stage, or it is construction stage, or it is delivery stage, whatever stage is involved, you have to make sure that that goes successful. And that's why it's done directly. Whether it's whatever we do, certain works contracts are involved, supply contracts or construction contracts or design and construction contract, or whatever you can say, contacts are involved, and there's no limit to that. And when we do all this, we have to make sure that every personnel involved, every machine involved, and whosoever is involved, and even work is involved, everything has safety standards included within that work. Safety is very important from every viewpoint, just like quality is important. And we should simply say safety first. And if you use safety, if you employ safety, if you work safely, you are safe, and your work is safe, life is safe. And reverse is not true. I mean, when we say if you understand safety, or you simply say if you know safety, here no meaning not that, no, means if you apply, if you go safe way, you won't feel any pain, and if you don't go safe way, you shall certainly feel pain. So in slogan language we can say no safety, no pain, and no safety, no pain. You got pronunciation is something confusing, but is the replacement of term no, one is no and one is KNO. KNO we use if you know safety, no pain, and you say no safety, then you can replace this no. It comes as KNO and then goes to NO. So you can see that, no problem. And safety means it is question of life of people, and it's question of properties, what can be damaged, and also then we come and talk of quality, that we say safety is first and then quality is must, because quality means every quality. Quality in safety, quality in design, quality in construction, quality in processing, and quality in whatever way we can think about. Therefore, we have to talk in each way. For example, engineering designs, our design should be safe. Our design should be workable, means they should serve intended purpose, and also same asset which we produce should function or should work for long years. You may say 50 years, 100 years, depending on what we thought of, and keeping on retrofit status that asset it can lead further and further. That is, we have to think that with something different, means we cannot simply confine our knowledge to books and engineering, but world engineering and human engineering and life engineering. And that's why I say life is very important in relation to engineering, and engineering is very important in relation to life. We have to understand this point, and that's real, means we can claim here we are talking of real world, not imaginary world, not administrative world, but world that cannot be replaced. And that world means start thinking and doing, and this what I call is organization of yourself. One's organization, my own organization, and that's why my thinking is a little different. I confine myself to what I say is this, that quality and coordination we talk of. Quality and coordination cannot be isolated from each other. Quality is quality and coordination. Coordination both cannot be measured in terms of units, but in terms of standards, in terms of viewing what is happening. Quality is also a kind of process or kind of existence. Same way, coordination is a kind of process and a kind of existence. Of course, this can't be sold. We can't sell only quality, or we can't sell coordination. We have to sell only goods, only products. This means our product is representative what it has. Quality is representing that. Of course, it represents, oh, this product has this quality, so it's good one or it's bad one. Same way, you can coordinate very well. You know you can or can't, but your results are seen or experienced on product. Efficient production, efficient processing, and good construction, reliable construction. Coordination can be felt there, can be measured there, not directly. Same way, quality can be measured only through products. oh, this product performs very well, this product is very useful. Means a common person, a customer who is not expert in engineering or in that product technology must say that. That is where you can say quality can be received. So if you want to get your product received with quality, then you have to think all this. That's important point, and it is only engineers who directly deal with this. Well, of course, they may not be owners, but they deal with quality system, they deal with the products coordination system, and they deal with, as you can say, safety system. They deal with designs, and they deal with construction. They deal with every activity involved. So we have to be very sincere in this analytical talk. I'm talking analytically because analysis is first principle that engineering has to do. Only top class work is done. If you are good analyst, you can do very good engineering because analysis would tell you what is right or what is not right. So we have to be very smart in that case. We cannot just go by whatever line has been given by someone else in the past. We can change that line and we can draw our own line because we are also experienced. We know what can be done, what cannot be done. We are not, you can say, freshers or budding. We have to use our past experience, but we have to keep in mind that experience must be true experience, not damaged experience or corrupt experience. To keep that point. So I usually say quality I require you in my country, and coordination I also ask you to always remain with me. Don't run away. It's not a prayer, it's my own condition. It's my own limit. I write my own conditions on myself and I don't forget that because it's my own system. For systems, I would like to suggest that there are only two ways to enter into system or to design a system. If you work somewhere or wherever, if you enter a system and maybe you don't like that system at first point, but because you are reporting under that system, you have to abide by a system until you can change that system to suit your own way. So system is that either you make a system or you enter a system. It's very difficult to make a system until you are well matured and you are accepted by system itself. You have a right to deviate, or you have the right to redesign, or you have the right to install that system to your choice if people accept it, or you have to abide by system. If you do not go in line with these two requirements, these two, what I say, logical reasons, you cannot build yourself. Creation of system is very difficult, it's understood, because you cannot do it in one day. It takes time. And even following up some other system also takes time because you have to establish yourself, you have to, you can say, use yourself, you have to understand that system, and only then you can get into that. So what I'm talking is quality system and quality coordination quality, and that's very important. So until we understand these structural elements, structural components of projects, what is quality, what is system, what is safety, what is planning, what is what, means you have to question yourself and you have to think yourself, you have to answer yourself, what is my objective is, what my goal is, and that would give you entire answer. And that is beauty of engineering, that engineering is something you have to decide, means there's no code to decide and there's no one else. You are your own code, you are your own logic, and you have to decide that. That's what engineering is. So what I say, I'm not going to read it again, I will read some of the time. What I'm saying is I can ask all these subjects, topics, or you can say chapters, or whatever you call them, properties or attributes, quality construction and quality work and coordination, and all these must be mine. I should not run away from them. And because engineers are responsible for such acts, for such properties, for such creation of assets. It is only they which we can call backbone of every nation's economy, and we are also one of them. We cannot say no. Economy is available in raw form in nature. It's true, it's in raw form. We cannot say it's not available because every material, raw material, is available, but we have to transform. First of all, we have to extract that material, and then we have to transform that material using our technology and also to fulfill our requirements. And that's why it's different kind of economy, or you can say it's very raw, very, you can say, original economy. I'm not talking of just products, I'm talking of how to make products, manufacturing way, procedures, or you can say processing, or whatever, construction. All we use nature, and nature does not stop us from using, and it does not cost anything to us. Means nature does not charge anything, but we measure in terms of charges, and which we say this is my gross product. Means you can know very well what I'm talking. But my goal is first quality, and then quantity, and after that economy, because ultimately quantity is related to cost and cost is related to economy. That is what I have to say. And quality must be somewhere there in quantity, and if quality is there, this means certainly coordination exists there. But we have to talk of quality and coordination in terms of engineering talk, in terms of this dissemination of information talk, I should simply say, because I am concerned about quality like everybody else should be concerned. And if one is not concerned with quality as an engineer, in that case I can't do anything with that person. It's a choice. If you want to spoil your name, if you want to spoil professional name, if you want to spoil country name, that is your problem, and that's not everybody else's problem. But engineers have to handle all these issues, and that's the important point I can say. The quality engineering and coordination engineering, it's very important subjects and should be used everywhere in every activity which relate to working designs, must. Manufacturing, construction process is a must. I mean, have to do everything is a must, and means it's must everywhere. It's a quality word and coordination word, or process of it can be. And that's we should simply say we should not. We have to fix that quality. If it fix means I say whatever happens, we can say fix quality. Come what may, and some say in our country, so I say fix quality in Bharat, India. Come what may, no excuse for concession. Any concession, works quality cannot be compromised, and therefore we do not intend to compromise just in name of fragile existing quality system, which should be sound enough, but I don't know why it doesn't remain sound. It remains open to questions and you can say interrogations. Compliance formality is a must. No excuse is available and no excuse is accepted in professional world. That's why we say we have to understand both quality requirements, quality controls, and quality systems, and then prevailing everything. And therefore, I am more interested in how to preserve that system, how to respect that. That's very important point. And that takes me to coordination engineering considerations, coordination engineering projects, and engineers, because engineers are operators, engineers are drivers, engineers are authorities to work in that world of coordination. And coordination is based on communication, and you know communication has no limit, and we say that we have to I mean to say engineers and also associates with us, all those who works in engineering in whatever way, as whatever level of workers, we have to think that way, and that is for reliable quality engineering works. When we say quality engineering works, means is quality everywhere in that work. It means work is given value if it has quality. It's not given value if it does not have. Therefore, for quality engineering delivery or works delivery, we have to think of, talk of into it. And this is a kind of only small note, I can say, note or page, and we talked of about this plate last time, and also we talked of another project, many projects we talked of. We'll discuss these projects, we have discussed something on that. We'll discuss them in details every time whenever we have chance to talk of, because there can be no end to any such discussion. But now we are saying some certain details, we know for big areas, and we will tell that also when we have to explain everything. Now we are just going to have certain text based talks, because it depends sometimes what you are talking, and we're talking coordination engineering, we say coordination engineering is title, and we also it is a must, you can say. But I say must means there's a mandate, it's kind of professional mandate and public requirement that you can take like this. The coordination engineering is a must on every project, and we have to think that way. And this brief can say here that designs, construction, and controls are very interrelated. As I discussed yesterday at length, that these are basic requirements for any product or for any project, proposed work. The designs must be perfect, construction must be perfect, and controls must be perfect. And we can't do anything other than this. And if we can do this, I can say we do our job successfully, and that job is project. And we also can say that achieving that is not easy. It's long work, hard work, intelligent work, trustworthy work, whether it's done directly self or it's done through contracting world. So we have to achieve success. We have to achieve success from start to completion of that project, so that project can be closed as soon as possible. Because project is not permanent, and we have to use some other term after that, some unit, some plant, or some residence, or whatever you can say at that time. So a design and construction are interrelated, because design is a kind of mental creation, and construction is a kind of mental as well as resources use works. You can say physical construction, and all we have gone through. That objective of an organization is all this. Means it's question of you can say good work. How to get good work? I'm not saying think of excellent work or best work or outstanding work. First of all, we have to think of work. At least it is requirement, and it should be available, it should work. So we are not going to again and again talk text wise, but just to explain what is that or what is different. Yeah. And design, construction, etc. are very important relations, and we should respect each other. Every professional must have lead possible to other areas, which basically one does not think that belongs to one's own education. Education is one part, but when you work in applications mode, it's not, you can simply say, you have to accept some part of other engineering as well. And we can say project leader must be to get into a allotted budget and then to move project with its defined ambit. And we have to keep in mind that it is wealth, it is money, and we cannot allow its losing. We can't say you can go away, I don't value you. Means we have to remember that money is lost, then it is not possible to come back, to get it back, because loss is loss. Analysis is very important requirement in every part of project. This is a kind of tool. It's kind of both ways. It sometimes works directly and sometimes indirectly, but it works. We have to be very clear about this point. And then we talk of deliberation, and that is deliberation means we have to consider, you can say improvisingly or through certain written documents or whatever else, have confirmed very well, we can deliberate very well. And that's why I say there is always a misunderstanding about coordination. Everybody does not understand what is coordination. Well, it's not entirely true. People do there, but how many percent such people who do that is very, very, very limited, not even above 5 or 10%. Engineering is one part, but thinking of engineering about development is another part, because we have a control over all these processes. We can use them. Means coordination in that world is something which applies all times. All times it applies. Even if project is over, it applies. It applies at every stage of development. It applies everywhere. And coordination, communication, or whatever you can say, procedures are all linked to each other. So we have to ask ourselves about this. That is very important point. And if we can't ask that about ourselves, then we are somewhere wrong. And that we can say, I just have gone through many points last time also. And we have to continue from those points. We talked about what is coordination, how we understand this, and what are facts with that, and how explanation can be given to that, how is engineering designs are involved, construction failure is involved, and whether it is strong or delicate, that also we consider. And problems do exist everywhere, always these exist, but these problems can never be permanently allowed. We have to find solutions. We have to find ways to solve those issues. Coordination is definitely, we can say, an involvement point which can change problem to solution one way or other way, and that's very important point. Problem to solution. Problem should be solved and it cannot be allowed to stay permanently, because we have to close certain project, and project closure is a must, and that's a big point, big title. Project closure, when I say, it's something contractual, it's something involved, and it's very important part, project closure, and it's also has tremendous, or you can say considerable work of coordination, communication. Project closure not defined yet, but we can understand ourselves. There's no, we have to define everything, because when you understand contract, we have to understand contract start date and contract closure date, and that closure date itself is very important, because we have a definition of time, definition of duration, that this contract duration is this, and that duration cannot be, you can say, demolished. It has to be there, though there can be changes in something if required. But problems have to be coordinated. What are to be coordinated? That is where engineer's duties apply. And we should clear all problems every time and that's very important point. There can be defined many ways. Definitions of coordination can be defined in number of ways, but best is that we have to do, or we have to arrange, or we have to be ready for doing some good, permanent good item. Based on we should have experience what's required for that, and that can be known by professionals only, what is required and what's not required, and we have to keep ready ourselves to meet that one. And even sometimes very minor information is not available, we then assume it, but we have no right to assume because other ones should do it. But everything is okay in that world, we have to accept everything is okay. And everything is okay doesn't mean fine, but just to keep yourself happy, yourself pleased, and yourself in stamina, we say okay, everything is okay. We have to be very clear in this, and when we talk engineering, or an engineer talks in that way only, because work is always difficult, construction routine is always difficult. It may be construction or processing or whatever, but construction, because there is no room above head in construction, and that's why it's impossible not to think of that. So we can say, moreover, our education system tells us what to do, and our practical experience tells what to do. It tells only either you observe yourself and check it, don't depend upon other. And if we can do that ourselves, I think it shall work successfully. Coordination engineering is unlimited world, we know, but it is not impossible, and it can expand its vistas to unlimited areas, involving many disciplines in one branch of engineering, and also importing various branches of engineering depending on what class of works are affected. And we see, I have seen past, and what happened in past everybody knows, all those veterans, they know how we used to deal with works in those days when there was not even calculators, and not in long writings we could not do because nobody would read that. So what way we did that is also a good question. There's no major change, but world has changed. Let's say politics has changed, sciences are changing, developments are happening. So definition of coordination, definition of all these keep on changing from time to time. We have to keep every such thing in mind, that we are all replaceable. That is a fact of life, and that fact has to be resolved. Means honesty should play. My one parent member, my one, you can say, mother or father, how I dealt with them, how they deal with me. Are they also part of system, or were they part of system? We certainly would say they were part of system, but not system. If you say I am system, then I am not system. Yes, in madness I can say it's mine, care about this, but nobody can answer other than this, what you talk of. So my dear, I am talking of coordination engineering, because coordination engineering is something you cannot define in one line. It's something very different, and it amounts to such physically invisible fundamental domain which requires perfect detailed engineering knowledge and thorough knowledge of specialized practical experience, or else no professional can get work delivered successfully and qualitatively. And we can say no work can be completed in modernized project without using impetus from coordination engineering, which is a combination of all involved prime domains. So we can say best suited for such type of professional interactive engineering. You can say best suited for such type of professional interactive engineering, and all those experienced professionals, engineering organizers, who who have invested their practice on every such activity in addition to having attained respective expertise. Or you may say, currently coordination is like a super domain for which an ordinary educated engineer cannot best cannot best suit in. But if one has got multi-level experience in office engineering as well as site engineering, can perform in office engineering efficiently, can perform such tasks efficiently, perfectly, and frankly speaking, in stating definition of coordination, we can say, in a nutshell, it can be acceptable to describe an engineer who can procure all related professionals belonging respective individual discipline on the firm, onto a firm and final agreement on whatever involved projects, components and whatever activity applicable on a set of combination of all architectural, structural services drawings from few from free from every clash. It may be named coordination or coordinated drawing for all practical working purposes, and it's not very specific. It's not very specific. The coordination is affected only in engineering but also applicable elsewhere in other professions, as well as in administration or further, you can say. In administration, and it further be carried forward to work in governments all over the world. And that's why I say it's often reported that many schemes could not, you may say, it is often reported that many schemes could not take off, even at budget stage and also post-budget at initiation stage, because of lack of required information or because of non-availability of capable professionals or administrators who could either procure or import or force to join all respective personnel to one page. Consequences in that case, in case of failure, can lead to propagation of all such projects for longer duration, resulting budget cost dissolution or escalation, and rethinking to be made on every such project for sustainability. Nowhere in the entire world we can find capable ministers who may be able to lead ministries in such a way that works move according to required degree of coordination mechanism. Such explanations have been charted out for purpose of conducting necessary brainstorming that may be called for by all others for contemplating on this essential purpose. Because project means absolute and optimum use of funds and not to waste funds. Not to waste funds for achieving futile results. But we cannot expect non-professionals to realize these facts. While handling engineering projects, every engineer has to rely on certain specific disciplines or branches of various engineering disciplines. We have at least 15 branches of gross engineering and building engineers or architectural engineers and structural engineers, electromechanical engineers, security related engineers, information technology engineers, and are required to work in certain structure to produce designs, the details, as well as to carry out execution work at supervision level as well as at all construction levels. Even on buildings, we don't have all complexities that are noticed on plants, facilities, or chemical processing projects, which location area spreads into many square miles and may consume many years for each project for designs and executions. On such projects, there can be fixed no limits except to make sure that industry keeps promoting towards meeting more and more capacity requirements, which means that green level projects are all one but once green one attains first success on it, then it also green projects are raw one, but once green one attains first success on its then it becomes brown project for next either augmentation of its capacity potential or for changing its standard scenario. We have to see means in fact architectural engineer, civil engineer along with structural engineer and with support of all services engineers, projects you can say projects can be handled with success provided alliance works professionally, respecting and honoring each other project claim, project designs and executive member and complying with project coordination and more specifically quality documented requirements. It is documented requirements means is so we have to concentrate on something very important in this way and we have to meet quality demand. That also, when it is stated about quality requirement, which indicates that quality must be used for purpose of conducting coordination, because it's a discipline as well, and discipline execution in each and every respect. It's been unfortunately, quality requirement has been misled. Its failure has been happening by I can say misunderstanding and about even we have to come a long way on this discussion. Quality requirement, which indicates quality must be used for purpose of conducting coordination and disciplined execution in each and every respect. Unfortunately, quality requirement has been misled, unfortunately, I can say that quality requirement has been insulted, or you can say misled, and its failure has been happening by misunderstanding and restlessness. We have to go to other facts as well. Quality works. Quality works, you may say, quality works in each every discipline in life as well as in every profession. Whereas engineering is no different. Quality must be used as a requirement in all works, including world of quality and coordination. Factually speaking, individual's quality is known by its professional personality, efficiency achieved about degree of work or production quality. Incumbent professional possesses, and then you can say professional possesses, and then further assessment can be calculated or charted out about to know its level of work, and specifically coordination competency attained by individual professional. No other way exists that quality can be achieved proficiently without working on expert coordination. Signals problem, without working on expert coordination for doing right work first time every time, and controlling on it use of each and every resource at optimum level. Certain points that are required to be discussed for purpose of project execution or prosecution. One time one can call it organizational handling, respecting construction work, activities and the certain points that are required to be discussed for purpose of project executions or prosecution, or one can call it organizational handling. Respecting construction work. Activities in both disciplines of site work as well as coordination, without which works cannot be completed in each and all styles. For this purpose, it has been attempted to write certain points herein so that one could get an understanding about works, requirements in in profession of building construction as well as plants, facilities or processing plants, construction which points certainly detailed about in fine line of flow of reputed works. As some collection of something long back, but it did not work well. So it was some writing based on experience. It was a kind of book, not exactly textbook, book that you can know what happens in field, or you can say it's a kind of projection of your knowledge. That is, I think, most important. I collected that one, so what I say, let's consider following points and activities, etc. in works to be carried out on site or elsewhere. For we can classify these into certain classes, and it says that it's a process of start to end, in which we dream something, dreamed idea to be converted into useful permanent works. And then we can say first is vision, and next is, you may say, technicalities involvement in entire scope, that's for project. And then we have work, carrying works at site, all activities, all disciplines. And we may say all works to be done, and this will complete process of testing, commissioning, for converting project into operational unit or occupation. You can say you have to start something, the start up there, start a facility or occupation of building. You have to start. Foregoing briefs points are required by what are those which are required? To explore them. To explore them into a world of explanation in various heads and subheads. And that is important point. Working out comprehensive designs for project in each and every respect. That is comprehensive design. That is very important part. Comprehensive means everything is considered, everything has been considered, and that is comprehensive designs for project. Nothing is left to itself, nothing as far as mind says or experience says, nothing has gone out from that consideration. It includes designs, you can say architectural details, it is architectural details, structural details, service details, internal and external landscape and utilities. Particularly, this is for building projects. So many disciplines, and so many from these are engineering disciplines, construction disciplines, design disciplines, common sense discipline. Also, though there is no such discipline, but I should say common sense. We may also select what are those. We can start. We have to do designs. We have to work out designs, and before that, we have to prepare for design. And we have to design some details, running details, and that's worked in every discipline of engineering. All disciplines are also required for various lawful purpose or legal purpose, which is very real to be conferred with and to be discussed with, but these days something people are able to write. Though we can say for legal purpose we have to produce documents, preparation of working drawings, working designs, and running relevant details also required for various legal purposes. Composition of formation, formation of documents, before that, preparation of working out designs for running relevant details in all disciplines also required for various legal purposes. Composition of formation of documents package for purpose of either charting out calls or hold the bidding invitation of a self doing these works. Preparation of bill of quantities for each discipline is very much necessary. Once all designs are finally available and accuracy at this stage, much helps in starting various controls on schemes and projects. We have to prepare all required documents to be included on bids for allowing construction experts to work out respective prices to implement project to a successful delivery. Among above structural part of documents and finishes part of architectural as well as other activities forming we have to make sure all these that among above structural parts of documents and finishes part of architectural as well as other activities dominate cost factor that can be marginalized per BOQ and described and decided, required and demanded specifications pertinent all disciplines involved. Just a minute, I'll put off switch. Is this meter switch stuff absolutely charged? It's cold again. I'm feeling cold in my legs. I don't know why. Oh my god. Now, I'm talking about something practical here. We have to talk something practical, and that's also a very important part. As I said, continue, we can say so we can say here, if you're very frank, that we have to prepare BOQs, bill of quantities, which is based on designs and items, and we can say these BOQs are really very important documents for contracts, though not all contracts. If we have item rate contracts where items are measured, each and every work is measured physically, that BOQ is different because it gives rates, it also gives quantities, but in some cases even quantities are not given. What I'm talking is we have to concentrate on fixed price, which means once you agree on some price for some project work, and that is in category of lump sum fixed price, where BOQ is provided, but BOQ is not mandatory document there. Quantities are not mandatory, but we have to pay only for quantities, because in such contracts a combination of all information, or you can say mutually explainable information is available, but first document that is authentic, that is first agreement, because there always exists a precedence of documents in contract world, which documents is number one in its value, in its enforcement power, enforcement potential, and that document is contract itself. Contract, and we know it's formal, it's legal agreement which tells us about what work we are talking and which are parties to that contract. One is party 1 and other is party 2. These two parties, at least two parties, constitute a contract with all these details of contract, we generally call contract data. And most important part is price. That price is based on, actually it is based on all the same principles as BOQ, because all items are included in that price, irrespective of fact that those items are not talked of, but those items are included in drawings, in details, And if there is a functional BOQ available or indicative BOQ available, all those items or quantities must be available in BOQ, bill of quantity. And this is not only that we have to confine to one BOQ, there can be many BOQs for many activities, many works, and we have to understand this point very carefully. That contract, when we define contract, it is contract form, which is lead document everywhere in contract world, and then there are other technical documents along with that, and that is very important part. So we have to be little clear about what is asked for. It's very important what is asked for, and we have to respect that situation. That situation is always very significant. And here we say BOQ as I'm talking of, and we are talking of specifications, and we can just think of what sort of BOQ should it be. For example, we can have preliminary items BOQ, that can be said, and something other than works only, something which are required in professional world. Means what way we have to do this project, what's costing here, what's method of costing, and what is work here. Bill of quantity can be structured like that. We may say this is number 1, this is number 2. Likewise, there can be whatever number of BOQs, bill of quantities. You can say, okay, as I said, preliminary means something like logistics, something like, overheads. You can put in that. You can include that. It has no limits. Means something which is not part of specification, but total organization of that contract. So preamble is something very, very different, not costing type, because it's a part of surveillance and maintenance, so it's different. And then you can say how quantification was done. How quantification was done by serious people or by just time pass people, because time pass people shall make mistakes regularly. So BOQ constitution itself is very significant at time of constituting your contract documents. As I said, many BOQs. You can just think of what project is, how many buildings it's writing for purpose, how many writing comes into question, what efforts come into question. That's also a point. Though BOQ is not legally valid, but its importance lies in the fact that, for example, we talk of a building and we say preliminary is okay, fine, preliminary is gone. I'm talking of preliminary for everyone. I'm talking of excavation. We can say earthwork in excavation or excavation itself. It's a way how to do it. Means how can you work out, how can you chart out your site activities. You have understood from these documents, from these provisions, that must be very, very clear. So we can say excavation is a major item, though not cost-wise but work-wise, because without excavation you cannot do anything. So that's very important item, first item. But add item, we cannot say we'll place this string somewhere else in sky and then use this. It's not possible. So they say then we go to excavation and backfill also. Then we go to in excavation, we can say foundations. We can go to foundations and waterproofing, and we can say blinding, and also substructure and some specific structure in that. That is something very, very different. We can say it is number 2, or I'm talking number 3. So number 2, as I said, In that case is excavation, blinding. If you go further well on that, then it is warping and also aristocratic one. So BOQ can be for every building. Yes, it is voluminous work, I agree. It is work which develops out side step. So we go for can say we BOQ, we can say this is BOQ number 1, and we had taken preliminary and so many other items in that protection and preservation and mobilization, non-mobilization, items, rates, assessors, not very big, but smart talk part there. We had to, chart out BOQ like that to take into foundations, then grade slab part and the above ground, whatever items we do, we have to take them, and we can say later on we can disassemble those items. We call this one model active. So it's very important part, excavation, earthwork, and then we go to some other word where there you can say superstructure can start, and superstructure can be procedure for many years. We have to be very serious about that issue, and that's why BOQ is very dominating item, though it's not legal one, but it tells every kid you are not suitable. On that case, we have to cross BOQ and go to the documents, and we can say BOQ, as I said, excavation, foundation, grade slab, above slab, so you can say perfect. And likewise, here are. We have to establish BOQ including all items. Whatever items are available on documents, we have to understand those items. So we can say we can go forward in this case, and we can think of further how to correct, how to include each and every major item into that contract. Now this convoy, or we can say this details which you have here for all documentation are very voluminous, but there is no other way to avoid those. So we go further and see what is there, what's not there. No copy paste, but a mind you have to use. And we can see there will be requirements of various chapters. There will be requirements of various chapters of specifications for all sections of works. And if it's related parts of each BOQ shall then requirement be assisted. And so it says that we have BOQ for convenience only. We can relate to BOQ other documents, and that's for ease only. Because in BOQ we have items, and these are based on thoughts of your project. Items are related to everyone, and every benefits of that. If you don't have that, that's is a problem. In that case, you can say it's a kind of practical, reliable document. Such documents for such sublist must be charted out for typical rotations, as well as for specific items in a reliable professional way. So we simply can start. We have heads, we have amount to voluminous work, we have quantum, but if it's it's necessary for every control on construction times requirements which would be demanded by sort of specification to be used. We may also say that BOQ we can include whatever else metal work, finishes, decoration, and you can say many more, and you can also read connection of all the coordinates physically. And that's where it's successful also. We can say, among other structural parts of documents, finishing parts of architectural as well as other activities dominate cost factors that can be marginalized per BOQ. Then specification, as we said, very important part here. Design specifications very strong. Design specifications very strong, serious issue for it relates to each and every activity to be included on project. Specification documentation is an extremely difficult. For difficult technical and engineering requirement, which only an experienced professional in certain particular topic of subject shall only be able to write successfully. Copying and paste system, copying and paste, you may say system of never works for system ever works, right? Never works. Copying and paste system, so never works in writing specifications, yes. In case certain specifications is less So what we say now, drawing a specification is a very serious issue, for it relates to each and every activity to be included on project specification. On project, you can say, on project itself we're talking. Project specification, we can say specification documentation is extremely difficult technical and engineering requirement, which only an experienced engineer or experienced professional in certain particular topic or subject shall only be able in write successfully. If you copy paste of certain specific parts, certain now we are to understand many other points. Specific lists are available in form of general specification, some organizational for general activities. So we can say copying and paste systems never works. Copying and paste system never works on specification. Yes, in case certain specifications lists are available in form of general specifications with some organization for general activities, that wealth can be used. What is that? We can say we can do that. Also important. We can also say that there will be requirements of various chapters of specification for all sections of works, and we realize to a part of each PQ that document should be positive, shall be positive, assistive, we can say. Assistive. Documents for each subdisciplines must be charted out for typical rotations as well as for specific item in a reliable, professional way for its impacts upon cost. Indeed, aforesaid, expressive heads amount to voluminous work, quantum, but it's necessary for every control on construction projects. So we have to understand all these facts. We have to understand all these facts importantly, significantly, and we can say again that we have here initially all foregoing activities, though conducting off-sites in somewhere in offices of experts, yet are coordinated perfectly by all stages and all stages from design review point through major portion relates to design engineering domain and quantity engineering, also so called, you can say. Designs within this stage must be coordinated correctly to an extent possible among various disciplines. Various disciplines and total disciplines, say between architectural and structural disciplines, structural and services disciplines, in all other disciplines wherever being involved. Total concept of constructability constructability must be taken care of during all such designs, respective coordination, which if ignored could mar smooth execution possibility of project work activities regarding and results in certain delay on completion time. We have to talk of something very important for everybody to understand, and that terms of constructability or construction ability. How, what level we are qualified to construct. So we have to go forward here, and this we can say for meeting a four set requirements, which is constructability and domain and others all in current advanced technology pre-application scenario, which of course lacks in training at first level of education. It should be kept in mind that engineering is a factual world. It doesn't belong to fictions and can be very successful, which means that lost time may recover or may not recover, but works delivery must go on. It is applicable in private sector. We have to understand all these facts, and constructability is defined as a dominant issue in concrete advanced technology applications scenario, which of course lacks in training at first level of education. It should be kept in mind that engineering is a factual world and no fiction can be successful, which means that just talking is not available, is not adequate, but work delivery is implementation is necessary. Constructability is a dominant issue in current advanced technology applications or scenario which you can say percentage is one, okay, 67% is still there. It should be kept in mind that engineering is a factual world and no fiction exists there. No fiction can be successful, which means that most just talking is not adequate, but work delivery implementation is necessary. And we have to meet these requirements. For meeting them, a lot professional maturity is essential to comprehend whole issue that relates to works to be carried out by various other agencies or parties involved in every project, from conception stage to design stage to construction stage, and finally to go really home. Now, such activities entitlement can be described in its heads form as such, which may be indexed in its entirety into divisions of various works. We can say project planning, explanation of planning classes we have done. Means we have to design first of all. We have to design it. You can say entire design involving all disciplines, pertinent all branches of job, included engineering whatsoever. Detailed design per project functional requirements for purpose of further documentation that may be required for meeting objectives of formation of contract of working documents. Then it is quantification leading to various bills of quantities, preparation, specification preparation, which could be general as well as project related, particularly as well manufacturers related procedures. Processing comprehensive package. Processing comprehensive package of bidding documents, shortlisting possible project related experienced bidders, processing entire bidding leading to selection of contractor after having conducted thorough scrutiny of received bid documents passed through professional competition. Further, if required, conducting negotiations based on value added bids or and also received an alternative bid, formal declaration of appointment of contractor, which shall be either in construction status or EPC status, depending on requirement. Now, it's better to know something about what these are. Who is responsible for what? That scenario must be clear, because it should be clear in all respect who is who before talking of coordination, because we have to coordinate with each other, and that's main point. And that main point is very important. And we have to coordinate with each other. We should know what one has to do, what one has not to do, who has to do that. In this way, first of all, let us understand how practically it works. Let us see, and that is, as we discussed before, many points. Here is, let us say, practicality of work, and we have to say that first of all, on projects we have to decide duties, who has to solve what is, and here is, you can say, from viewpoint of works, we are talking of, we are talking some very important terminology. We can say, I'm just trying to find where is the engineer in this, because engineer's role is very important from viewpoint of that something very missing. Contractor, local authorities. We are finding that page is found something, verification of pursuit of particular activity. What is gone? Package, document of site meeting, agenda of contact meeting, special and interest meetings. Please excuse me just a minute, please. I'm just trying to find engineer's role. Engineer's role is very important. Engineer's role is very important in works. Otherwise, it's a problem, you know. There is mechanical engineer, assistant engineer, foreman, plant engineer, general foreman, manager. Here is one thing about engineer I'm talking of. Actually, engineer, when we talk in construction language, it says engineer and supervision. It's very, very important item to discuss with. And say engineer and supervision. We talk of that. Certainly it's very important part, because what is engineer we have to know. It's not very boring but very interesting if you understand. It's desired to explain in brief meaning of term engineer. Engineer as people generally misunderstand this term. In terms of contracts, this type designation, this typical designation engineer, applies to person, or you can call official or whosoever. You may be department head, professional organization of building engineering or whatever other engineering, architectural engineering firm to whom owner or user entrusts responsibility of project to its budget limitations from conceiving stage to final completion, which shall involve all operations of inception all operations of inceptions, architectural planning and detailing, structural planning, designing and detailing, schematic services, design and detailings, design of all related civil works, external works, and preparation of bills of quantities and contract contents, general and project specifications, tendering, award and control of administrative management and site supervision of contractors' executions, finalization of all payments, budgetary controls, acceptance or rejection of job, testing, commissioning of completed jobs per conditions and clauses in specifications, maintenance, supervision and grant of final completion certificate for purpose of release of all retention monies in contractor, monies to contractor and activity not covered in this explanation, that preparation of all detailed drawings for purpose of obtaining statutory building permits. Just an example is, for example, a promoter appoints an architecture or building engineering firm for a group, firm or group to plan, design and supervise execution of job. Appointed firm or group shall be nominated as engineer in legal terms, and head person responsible for group shall be liable to legal implication or implication as person responsible for design and supervision and stability of building or structure as a whole. Similarly, government or funding body wants some projects to be executed for welfare of masses or for other purpose. Government Department of Civil Engineering discipline can be entrusted to carry out job of project, and head engineer of department of rank of designation of engineer in chief or engineer member or chief engineer, as case could be, may be designated engineer in legal terms. That guy needs not necessarily be civil engineer or structural engineer. Architect or civil engineer or structural engineer are all eligible for being designated in capacity engineer in legal terms. Should entrusted department does not possess required caliber or staff to look after above explained duties, a group shall be invited to look after same responsibility on firm's responsibility, and in some cases department may wish to appoint resident engineers only for that purpose if supervision is required. After owner appoints firm or group as engineer for project and contractors is entered in between engineer and promoter or owner, head of firm shall be party in contract personally, while in government department engineer in chief or engineer member or chief engineer shall sign on behalf of government. When department appoints an engineering firm or resident engineer, nominated engineering firm shall be project leader, manager or supervisor or what. You can say, let us see battery status. And we can say big projects cannot be designed and supervised by one person alone, incapacity engineer. Therefore, in practice, what happens that engineer responsible for that project appoints under its control a resident engineer for control of site execution with a group of specialist engineers and other anchoring or supporting engineering and administrators and ministerial staff under direct control of resident engineers. All works as carried out on site shall be done of technical nature and check works being done according to engineering detail or not done, that is to be made sure by engineer and resident engineer. Whatever be done by resident engineer be considered done by engineer, and in legal terms and all responsibilities of project be shared by engineer. So we can say in three form of organization, number one is engineer in hierarchy, responsible for project in all respects. Then there may be reporting to that engineer, architectural department, structural section, or services section, quantity departmental section, then civil section, and many more such sections. Each in such current projects, current scenario, there may be more and more. No limit can be set on that, depending on project. Now, this explanation, this organizational structure as I just narrated, shows different levels of working for project under control for purpose of guideline only, and it is subject to variation. Now, resident engineer and supervision is also a question mark. A resident engineer who is actually meant for site work, to work on behalf of engineer. A resident engineer or representative engineer, you can say, supervises contract operations on behalf of engineer or for engineer alone in case job is very small, but for bigger size contracts of constructions, engineer or owner, as case may be, according to contract existing between engineer and owner or promoter, shall provide supporting staff on site, supporting staff to engineer on site, who shall act as consultants in supervision of construction activities of operations being carried out by construction contractor according to contract documents. These supporting supervising engineers include assistant resident engineer or project coordinator, architects, structural engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineer, plumbing engineer, IT engineer, civil engineer, quantity engineer, accountants, and secretarial section, and other assistants like clerk of works in different ranks, as all form team. That's very important part. We have to understand this kind of organization for purpose of works, how they perform, and if we just consider real work, what we have to do, or you can say, depends, number of strength of engineering personnel really depends on quantum of work, time of work, and requirements. Real coordination works of different phases may be carried out in cooperational way. Experienced architect appointed as specialist engineer, structural and civil engineers appointed as specialist engineers may act as project coordinators for independent phases and simultaneously specialist for other phase on medium-sized projects where funds are limited and also quantity of operations is of controllable size. Now it depends on team of engineer, resident engineer, etc., how to organize such structure. In that case, we can talk of resident engineer. We can talk of resident engineer. Now we talk of resident engineer, let's say. It says what a resident engineer should do. That is very simple title. And it says resident engineer shall act on behalf of engineer to make sure or to ascertain that works are carried out by different construction contractors on site or their subcontractors further are all part of contract according to contract documents, according to bills of quantities, drawings, working drawings, material approved, all specifications, manufacturers, instructions, and all related details provided by engineer, and accordingly they work to contract approved construction program for time and progress control, so that work is done in fixed time and per duration allowed. It should not escalate. As laid down in contract schedule, a resident engineer must be a qualified and a competent engineer of architectural, structural, or civil engineering discipline on civil engineering projects, as that has to apply all skills that is supposed to acquire during professional studies and training at supervision of construction contractors operation under relevant charge. Job of resident engineer or REI shines representative engineer. Job of resident engineer starts even before award of construction contract and continues till final completion certificate is granted by engineer on recommendations of resident engineer's inspection. Resident engineer finalizes all surveys, can say details of plot or land, and fixes all benchmarks ready, all topographic coordinates ready prior to joining construction contractor on site, or at least be having complete details with it to pass to construction contractors immediately after handing over site to let related people commence construction operations without wasting a single day. RE or resident engineer shall be or be chief executive of engineer on site and be a counterpart of site agent of construction contractor. Primarily, main job of resident engineer may be or shall be to see that construction contractors do job according to details included in documents given by engineer or issued by engineer and its designs, that all instructions and obligations to be performed by construction contractors are executed on site according to agreed contract conditions. Resident engineer shall therefore be responsible to engineer in all respects, though it be paid by owner or promoter, or whatever be agreement, shall be loyal to engineer who is responsible for administration of contract as a whole. Resident engineer shall remember always that action taken by it shall consequently affect responsibilities and obligations of engineer, as engineer is bound per organization management contract with employer or owner and legally liable and personally responsible and therefore to make good its doubts and approaches to its job or for procedures, RE shall report to engineer and seek guidance. Resident engineer should suggest and advise engineer from time to time, as he knows operations of site 100% due to its being available abreast of site full time or dedicated, and well aware of site conditions and difficulties of real execution and troubles faced at site and ways out of them. Let me see percentages. Maybe this is not called danger, 36%. I think I should switch on better, not to take any risk. I should just continue for 15-20 minutes before going to roof, so that we can talk of something else also. Let me see how it moves. Perfect, actually perfect. People should understand also, it's not simply that I'm understanding. Now says now resident engineer shall be technically, you can say, skilled, very skilled. Of course, engineer it is. So resident engineer shall be a technical scout, you may say, technical scout to engineer as far as engineering matters are concerned, and to take responsibilities of engineer in practical terms, but not legal terms. Engineer cannot pass its responsibility to resident engineer in or his for action taken by them. Means engineer cannot pass responsibility to others. You may say that. All actions, engineer cannot pass responsibility to resident engineer or whatever staff for actions taken by them, as all actions shall be treated as taken by engineer in lawful terms of contract with honor. As contract between honor and engineer states that engineer shall use all skills and judgments to designs and construction of project or job as a whole. Engineer shall be considered negligent, failing to check what RE or resident engineer and its staff do during supervision of works. Supervision of works executed by contractor, and negative consequential effect be borne by engineer. In contract terms, resident engineer cannot be held responsible for failure failure of structure in legal considerations due to engineers being completely responsible and liable for designs. Resident engineers shall at all time bear in mind that whatever responsible, whatever shall be, he shall be responsible for engineer and not to honor, and therefore should not act on owner's opinions in a technical matters and seek instructions from engineer only, even after being instructed by owner. Resident engineer should see all documents have been issued to contractor in time so as to avoid whatever claims due to delayed issue of documents. Resident engineer shall see that site has been cleared and handed over to contractor per date of commencement. Resident engineer shall see that all site staff have been introduced to contractor, agent, engineers whosoever, for which a preliminary site meeting before handover of site be conducted by resident engineer and recorded with due circulation of minutes of meeting and decisions taken if whatever. Resident engineer must see that contractor has proposed curriculum vitae of site supervising personnel or superintending personnel and in charge, superintending in charge such as site agent, deputy agent, project coordinators, site engineers, deputy engineers, or whatsoever, assistants and other inline supervising staff like foremen, surveyors, and that contractor has proposed site establishment for which layout of site offices of contractors offices as well as resident engineers offices be included for purpose of approval by resident engineer or engineer. Site immobilization is done as soon as possible, must be ensured by resident engineer, as well as that contractor has proposed program or schedule, time schedule for approval by engineer in prescribed format, prescribed limit per conditions or specialization. Resident engineer should see that site benchmarks, points of reference or lines of controls or coordinates general have all been explained or shown to contractors agent so as agent may proceed for setting out operations of buildings and layouts. Resident engineers shall make sure that surveys of existing site levels are jointly done by resident engineer, jointly done by agent and person from resident engineer's office as deputed for purpose, failing which resident engineer shall be bound to do survey self before commencement of excavation, and that must be brought to notice of agent. If resident engineer does not do that, shall accept levels given by agent. Resident engineer shall make sure that resident shall make sure that resident engineer shall make sure that surveys of existing site levels are jointly done, and also that agent is aware of job coordination, working system. Resident engineer shall make sure that agent be aware of job coordination systems, working system with resident office. Resident engineer shall explicitly explain to agent how to fit in with system of handling coordination on proposed project for materials and drawings, submittals, site inspections, reports, records, maintenance, etc., and required standards pro forma be given to agent for that use. Resident engineer shall see that contractor has finalized appointments of probable subcontractors to be deployed on job for allied services and details in forms of subcontractors curriculum vitae shall be asked for in complete package for resident engineer's approval as soon as possible. Resident engineer shall act patiently to see that actions on part of agent are to acceptable standards. Or person needs guidance, means agent needs guidance, that is required. A resident engineer shall give agent time to acquaint itself with system and site and understand each other, and both may know each other thoroughly. In beginning, agent does not know how strict is resident engineer, and resident engineer does not know about caliber of agent and competency on job. Resident engineer shall guide agent on matters of contract operations, about area and standards to be maintained in advance. A resident engineer shall see that contractor starts making material submittals, shop drawing submittals, program submittals in time. If not, shall instruct and advise advise agent to be careful in operation of particular contract clause requiring submission in a prescribed time limit to avoid delay and record bad performance on part of contractor. Resident engineer shall also ascertain work person strength of contractor, mechanical potential on site, material arrivals, and financial state. Whether enough run of site or fall short of requirement per contractor's promises or obligations. Resident engineer shall check with specialist engineers, attest all details of submittals done by contractor in different phases, and shall inspect plants and machines with its assistant and ascertain working conditions and working efficiency on site. Resident engineer shall inspect central mixing plant for concrete, that is called ready mix concrete, or batching plant or plants on and off, either off site with specialist structural engineer and coordinator, assess functioning of that to grant approval to be used for job which shall include all accessories, calibration of various gauges, supporting structure of batching plant, whether manually controlled or by use of computers, and number of transit mixers that may be used at time of major pours. Resident engineer shall resident engineer shall see the concrete ingredients are all stored properly per specified standards on site or batching plant and properly protected against inclement weather conditions. Many more responsibilities are there. We'll continue just because I cannot explain everything in one go, and you may not know everything then. Let's little shift, and so that you may also bore with this boring topic. So we say, okay, we'll continue that one. That's the problem. Just now we'll see what we are talking here. And that is various lines as we are given here, written here. And we can say, as we are talking of project planning, now it's in designs. And in fact, when we're talking of resident engineer, we are talking of that work is done. And here is such functions with such project planning, entire design, detailed design, contract, requirements of purpose of further documentation, contracts of working documents, then quantification of the various bills of quantities and all that, processing comprehensive package of bidding documents. And likewise, so many list is there, long list is there. How to go through that also before going further, and others than that. It works well, doesn't work, that's a different issue, but we have to be very careful and let me go further. It give me a few minutes. I'll go back and come, and it's already now. What's time is there? Let's see. It's about 2 hours 39 minutes. So still. Yes, this activity entirely can be described as we said before. It's a long activity. I like to describe this on this before going further. And that's very important item. Let's wait, and meanwhile we'll go up and come down, and we have to see how does work. I can go and come down for 5 minutes. Let's wait just a moment. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, you can read this if you wish. Important is reading, and reading is it's no bound, it's no. So we're talking about the duties of a resident engineer in this regard, and in fact that's a very important item. Without that, nothing is going to happen on sites. And this, because this we have to discuss in construction supervision on contracts, it's very important item. And we may say here, if we do that in this, you can say it's a part of coordination also, you can say, because coordinator. Let me go back and see how it's working, because still it's not complete part. Just you can say we are talking of something important in works, and we have to know how these works are carried out first. Just pushing this paper on further, and we have to see that, as we said, contracts of working documents we are talking of, contracts, how contracts are operated and how these work, and we have to know roles of everyone among that. And this was role of resident engineer and engineer is talking of, and it's very important role, and we cannot go without that. And it's long role, it's not just one or two lines. You have to still think on this role and work on this role and contemplate on this role, in fact. And it says that you say I think maybe sometimes, you know, it's so, it is an old book and it must be yeah, I think it's okay. It means it is a long paragraph, and we have to see that what I was talking of. Resident shall see that concrete ingots, so that's fine. Now resident engineers shall see that machines do not pose danger to human. Means it's safety issue. Resident engineers shall make sure that machines do not pose danger to human life during operations, that there shall be no chance of accidents. Means it's safety, health and environment issue, and also that safety measures are resorted to or taken by contractor for construction site safety standards or requirements as a part of contract documents responsibility. Resident engineer shall ask contractor to send samples selected by it or assistants to laboratory regularly for technical examinations and submit test reports from laboratories already approved by engineers or independent laboratories we call it. Resident engineer discusses or resident shall discuss program of contractor, program submitted by contractor jointly with agent and other assistants, and comment on that for further incorporation with revision of same program as case be till that program is finally approved and constitutes a part of contract. Having scrutinized and submission of materials, working drawings, programs, resident engineer shall recommend approval to engineer formally, and of course resident engineer shall remember that final approval and all submittals shall be entrusted to engineer only per contract. Resident engineer shall prefer to advise in case some discrepancy is discovered in documents immediately to engineer for remedial measures. Engineer shall refer to engineer whatever irregularity if discovered in contract documents or contract itself, or ambiguity of language or clause or whatever contracting or technical mistake as pointed out by quantity or contract engineer for clarification to be obtained immediately. We'll continue this responsibility. It's very important one from our point of view, because we have to analyze also what we are talking of. It's not simply I'm speaking and you're carrying in. It's an important matter and cannot be just you can dispose immediately. We have to analyze, think on, and contemplate on that. That's an important part of this. We have to think this way professionally, because we are talking profession, we're not talking something else. We have to be very serious about this talk and about duties of everybody, because these are very specific items which actually impact on contract, and this is a part of quality system as well. All the duties we talked of is a miscellaneous type, and these duties are miscellaneous types, and we understand that quality is a quality system, or you may say it is coordination system. Writing is there on this page, but also informations that we are trying to provide. That's old information which I collected, I wrote about you can say 40 years back. No, yes, 85, you can say 90 onwards. 10, yes, about 30 years back this was written, and this such information never terminates. Such information never terminates, because this adds to value of information. You may say existing information is always enriched by new information and new thoughts which come to minds of every engineer. If we are thinkers, and thinker doesn't mean we are different. Job of engineer is thinking. First job of engineer is thinking, then doing better thinking, and we may say a sequence of thinking goes on like that. That sequence makes better arrangements in itself for thinking. So a stage comes when multiple thinkings can decide on itself what we have to do, or I may call it concentration. You may call it concentration, because every thinking is centered, further centered and further centers, and then there's a stage when maybe other thinkings meet with this thinking. It becomes a group of thinkings, and that group of thinkings further become another group of thinking as time moves on and our seriousness continues. And when various groups meet together, you may call it a class of thinking or school of thinking. We call it school of thoughts, we call it. And that's why I already defined many times what is meaning of school of thought, what's meaning of this. But when you talk of an engineering world, engineer itself is a university of thought, not a school of thought alone. University of thought, or you may say book of thought, or you may say spectrum of thought. And these thoughts are practical, are based on scientific principles, are based on engineering principles. And these are not ordinary ones, because these thoughts shall be implemented sometimes when everything is finalized. Every engineer thinks for future, not for just current time. And future means our mind says it can happen in future if we continue analytical work. It's not forecast, actually it's for plan. We cannot say it's forecast. We have to plan, and plan means we cannot plan blindly, because my intuition says that no. We plan with open eyes, with open minds, keeping abreast current situation, keeping abreast our resources, keeping abreast what technologies do we use and what funding we have. These combined factors decide what shall future work for, how can we have it, and what shall be improvement at that time, and also what sort of resources do we have now, what help can we draw from these resources. It may be human resource, equipment resource, machine resource, material resource, technology resource, or whatsoever else. And our most important is our educated people, educated stamina, educated engineers. If they are serious, they can do much better than if they are not serious, then even education cannot help. It is combination of education, combination of training with, you can say, seriousness, or you can say determination, power of determination, power of making decisions, power of, standing. I have to do it, or this is to be done. What way it is to be done, we have to see. Simply by saying to be done is not enough. There is a difference in opinion, there is a difference in thinking approach. Engineers thinking of doing is something different than what a common person thinks of doing. Common person can say, no, tomorrow we will do it, no problem. If today doesn't happen, tomorrow it will happen. If tomorrow doesn't happen, day after tomorrow it will happen. But engineer cannot say that, because there should be reason why you want to postpone. If there is no valid reason, the whole is good. There is no meaning of postponing something or delaying something. That's fine. Why should there be delay? Question comes, why should there be delay? Well, we can do it. There shall be delay because we cannot do it. There's some reason. There's absence of some information, or there is some material delay. And if there is material delay, why material delay? You mean to say every answer raises a question, and every question requires an answer. Engineering is not poetry. Again I say, it's not cricket or football match. It's not game. It's standing. We have to deliver results. Concrete results means results which are solid, which are based on perfection. That is job of engineer. If engineer cannot do that, that person cannot be called engineer. Person who does coordination, who has determination to do works per quality compliance, who can have such efforts, such energies required for this, can prepare for such works of quality, works of you may say reliable quality. Works that is based on successful coordination are very important issues. Engineering, because we know, is something that once done cannot be changed so easily. It's like a state of concrete, difference between state of concrete when it is in fluid state and when it is in hardened state. It is a difference when it's fluid state and when it's in no state but in dry state of ingredients. You can note difference from three stages. Stage number 1, only ingredients, separate ingredients. Stage number 2, mixed concrete, fluid state, and state number 3, hardened state. And in between these there can be a state after pouring, after laying, and that is shrinkage stage. Leave behind shrinkage, we keep 3 just like a lay person. That I have these ingredients, I change them to mixed concrete, and mixed concrete is automatically changed to hardened concrete. This means we have one step to get materials in raw form, or we can say ingredients, and then mix them just for some purpose, and after that it works automatically. Even if you don't play, even leave it will set. So these third stage, that is post mixing, is self-serving, you can say. If it is properly used, it shall serve safe, it shall set itself, it shall harden itself, and nobody can avoid that. We have to understand this point in clear terminology. Nobody can help others. If you don't understand this is a very practical example I'm giving you. Difference in stages. As I said, 3 stages. You have to differentiate stages. It's common sense. It's nothing that I have to tell you. Hardened stage is hardened stage. You think of, you have to withdraw. You have to withdraw from first stage, you have to withdraw from second stage, and you have to withdraw from third stage. Can you think of? Can you withdraw from first stage? Yes, it's very easy. We don't use it. All ingredients are separate. Coarse aggregate, fine aggregate, cement, water, all are separate. No problem. We can withdraw it. Okay, I mix it. Once it's mixed, can you withdraw it? Oh, this is a worrying time. There's no way you can withdraw it except you throw everything out, and that's not possible because cement is already there. So it's impossible, you say. You cannot withdraw from mixed state. And if you don't use it, what shall happen? Think yourself. It's a very critical question. If you don't use mixed material, what shall happen? Certainly this material shall destroy itself, it will set in no use. And if you cast somewhere, pour somewhere, it will mold itself and it will harden. Even if you don't compact it, don't consolidate it, it shall harden itself in loose form or in less dense form, but it shall harden. And if you use it professionally, you cast in formwork and compact it, automatically your job is over. It shall harden itself. You cannot stop it. It's beyond controls. That's what I'm trying to say. Various stages in concrete tells us a lot. Various stages in concrete tell us a lot. What is life? This is life. Once you are entrapped in mixed state and you have to be used in cast stage, you are a hard person. Can't be withdrawn. You can't withdraw yourself. Somebody may break you, that's different, but normally you can't be withdrawn. Same is your work. You can't withdraw it once it reaches certain solid state. That's fine. You have to understand. We'll continue this very important chapter of engineering, very important requirement of engineering, very important system, and very important part of engineering, and that is must to understand. And that is a coordination. A good coordination means good concrete. We cannot withdraw from decisions. And with this, we can take a rest. This time, I hope you like it. Thanks a lot indeed.